It's a coal rush in Morgantown this Saturday. We'll see how the fans respond. Haven't been here in a month for a home game. Lost 4 in a row in Big 12 play. What's this environment really going to look like? That and a few other storylines to watch for when the Mountaineers host TCU this coming Saturday. This is the Mountaineer Moment, your source for all things West Virginia football and basketball. From pregame to postgame coverage and breaking news, we've got you covered. Let's go. All right, Mountaineer Nation, welcome back to another episode of Mountaineer Moment. My name's Troy. I'm the host here on this show, available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music. Would entreat you to subscribe, please. Whatever platform you're on, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you're at, watching or listening, consider subscribing, consider leaving a like, dropping a comment, leaving a rating, because all those analytics and all those things, that helps, and helps me to continue to grow this show. Blown away by how it has grown already for such a young show. Just like a month and a half into this, almost 2 months into this, and this is episode number 54 already. So we are just attacking this thing, and you're invited to join in on the Mountaineer Moment movement. So please do. Love interacting with people in the comments. So leave a comment, leave a prediction, leave a hot take, whatever you want. This is something we're building together. So this is an awesome opportunity for you to jump in on that. Again, subscribe, and we'll help you be in the know when we have new episodes coming your way. I mentioned in that opener, it's a coal rush in Morgantown, and that might just be what this fan base needs to look forward to at this point, because it has been bad lately. Maybe you entered the season with a lot of high expectations. Maybe you entered the season with a lot of questions, which was completely fair and valid. But I will say, I don't think any of us had this 2-5, 0-4 start on our radar. Now, I was one of the, I think everybody was, but I was one person who was saying, you know what, I wrote an article about it over at hailwv.com, and I said, this is the most unpredictable season in recent history, right, for the Mountaineers, because 81 new players and a whole new coaching staff. Who's going to play quarterback? How's it going to work? What's that offensive line going to look like? And we've gotten the answers that we've gotten haven't been particularly pretty. All right, there's not a lot that you can look to this season and say, yeah, that's better than I expected. Right? I mean, I hate to say it, but this has been a struggle. And you're 0-4 in conference. A lot of the fan base, myself included, is eager and ready for basketball season. Not that I'd be excited for basketball season if we were sitting here at 7-0, but because of how poorly this football season has gone and how poorly this team is playing, not just in wins and losses, but just in performance. I think I said it, a couple episodes ago. Like, I haven't been nervous for a Mountaineer football game in weeks, because it's been just bad. And you kind of come in with this expectation week after week that it's going to be bad. And it has been bad. And, as West Virginia, again, they're playing their first game at home in nearly a month since the game against Utah. And we're going to look at a few different storylines involved in that. And well, basketball season's almost here, and we've got episodes dropping, left and right about the basketball team here on Mountaineer Moment, and still doing our thing with the football program. There's still a lot that we can learn, I think, about the present and the future of West Virginia football with these remaining 5 games. And I'm particularly concerned with the future because we kind of know what this season is looking like. Not to say that we can't see a good thing or two over these last few weeks. But even the steps you're taking now, and I guess this is kind of a bonus as far as a storyline to watch for the rest of the year, but the steps that you're taking right now need to be geared toward 2026 and week 1, 2026, and getting ready for that. And my logic to this point is you got an underclassmen on this team. You got guys who haven't even played much, but you think they deserve some playing time. Send them out there. Let's go. Suit up. That's just where I'm at. I'm not with all due respect, even to these athletes and seniors, and wanting them to go out well and to enjoy their last moments of college football, over these last few weeks, that there's something obviously to be said for that, and I mean that wholeheartedly. Like, these guys, I believe they've worked hard even since they've been here as Mountaineers, and their efforts should be rewarded in that sense. But there needs to be more of a focus toward next year, and obviously not that this is going to happen, but we win several games. Let's say we win 3 or 4 or 5 of the 5 remaining games left, but you did it with all seniors. What'd you really get out of it? A few wins, a few smiles, right? Like, and I'm not trying to diminish what wins do and can do for a program, but you need to be ready for next season. And that can start right now, and that's what I would say. So that's number 0, I guess, on 4 storylines for West Virginia to look for against TCU, but that's one bigger picture. First thing we're going to talk about is this environment, which we've alluded to a little bit. It's been a while since you've been at home. The team was struggling then, but really, really struggling now. You're coming off a blowout loss to UCF, a team that you thought maybe was a little bit more on your level than the teams you played previously. In Big 12 play through 4 games, you're being outscored 172-61. That is a real number, 172 points given up and 61 points scored for the Mountaineers in these 4 games. The coal rush obviously brings something with it, as the Mountaineers dress in the black uniforms as a tribute to the coal mining industry here in the state of West Virginia, and really cool thing, and that's going to be hopefully received well and, hopefully played out well, just in the sense that, it's a tribute to what our state's about. Second time we're doing this, the coal rush, the first time came last season against Iowa State in a loss, but it was an electric atmosphere leading up to the game, with coal miners being honored and involved in that, Mountaineer man trip and all that at the beginning, which is really, really cool. Not sure exactly what's on the table for this coming Saturday as far as, extracurricular things besides the game. But I'm having a hard time trying to figure out and predict what this game exactly is going to look like and feel like as far as atmosphere is concerned, because you are a team that's reeling. I looked on, because sometimes StubHub or SeatGeek or wherever you get your tickets can be an indicator of like, okay, the place might be dead, if the tickets are really cheap. But I looked, and there were more than I thought they would be. I think the cheapest ticket was around $55, unless at the time I looked. Those will probably come down closer to kickoff, but what's the environment going to look like? How's the tailgating scene going to be? I'm sure there'll still be rowdy, still be, some people having fun, obviously, but with how poorly this team's played, I mean, it's a very different atmosphere than it was when you had the backyard brawl, or a different atmosphere from when you kicked off the season, or a different atmosphere from your first home game in Big 12 play when you were at that point 0-1 in conference play. Now you're 0-4. Now there's a lot of things written off with this season, with this program. And so what's it really going to look like? How many fans are going to participate in the coal rush and wear black? And how many fans are going to just simply be in attendance? If things get out of hand early, like they have in previous weeks, the most recent weeks, what's that going to look like? How is there going to be booing? Is the team going to feel supported? Are they going to feel left? Are they going to, what's it going to look like? I'm very curious about this atmosphere, and that's a storyline to me to look for with where this current team sits right now. Secondly is just a point on intensity from the team, focus, that kind of thing, and then, building culture. So Rich Rodriguez at his radio show at Kegler's on Monday mentioned talked a lot, obviously, about culture and building a program. And we know that Rich Rod does things a little differently, even from other collegiate coaches where these other players that have transferred in have been. And so, how quickly can you really build a culture when you have so many new players? What does that process look like? but specifically, Rich Rod was unhappy with his team's effort level and intensity coming out the gate last week against UCF. Obviously, it takes time to build your preferred culture moving forward, but man, if you can't get them amped up to play the game in front of them, that's obviously a problem. And he started to hint at the fact that other players are going to get more reps, which again is something I'm thinking I'm game for, especially if they're not seniors, especially if there's a chance that they would stick around next season and give you a chance to win football games, right? If there's a chance that they can be on the field in 2026 and contribute for you, then I want to see them right now. I'll say that until I'm blue in the face, as you're probably kind of seeing right now, but just that's a storyline. Just keep an eye on the kind of fight that we're going to see from this team, because the more a team struggles, because last week against UCF, at least from an outsider looking in to what Rich Rod was saying, what these players were saying, they're coming off a bye week. There's 6 games down, 6 games to go in the regular season. And while it wasn't we're going to go out and compete for the Big 12 because that ship has sailed, there was a flavor of okay, let's get healthy, let's get right, let's fix this thing, let's fix that thing, let's fix this scheme and game plan, and let's gear up for a strong second half, right? Let's come out and not shock the world. It wasn't anything like that, but it was just this point of, we got 6 ball games to go, and we're going to come out and make the most of it, and we're going to right the ship in the sense that we're going to start winning some games and playing better. To have a fresh start. That was, I think, a word that Rich Rodriguez used. And so that was the selling point internally. That was the selling point to fans. And then you come out and get blasted by UCF on the road, a team that was also 0-3 in Big 12 play. So the selling point of it's a fresh start, new game, new thing. We fixed this, we fixed that. And then you come out and not only lose, but you get blasted against UCF. So now what are you going to say? Right? The more you struggle, the harder it is to give a pep talk or whatever you want to say that actually works. The harder it is to motivate, the harder it is to get a belief in that locker room that you can come out and win, or you can come out and compete. Forget winning. That you can come out and compete and keep a game interesting into the fourth quarter, because we haven't seen that in weeks. And keep an eye, that's just something to keep an eye on. What kind of fight are we going to see? So not only fans and the coal rush and that environment, but the second thing with intensity and culture, what kind of energy are we going to see? What's the selling point this week? Because last week's selling point, while it was probably a good one, right? Out of a bye week, struggling team, half the season done, half the season to go. Let's have a fresh start, right? That's kind of that would be cliche number one. Let's do that. And not only did you not win, but you just got killed. So where do you go from there? What is the energy level going to look like? What players are going to play? Is it going to be up to Rich Rod's standard? All of that stuff. Keep an eye on it. All right, we got 4 things again. So number 3 is changes along the offensive line. Keep an eye on who is playing up front. Obviously, every position group across the field, offense, defense for the Mountaineers, have had their fair share of struggles this season. None of those have been recognized more so than the West Virginia offensive line. This unit has been scrutinized for their performance every single game this season. Again, on Monday evening in that radio show, Rich Rod did mention a couple names of offensive linemen who will likely see the field more for more reps, being Donovan Haslam and Malik Agbo. And to me, that's music to my ears. This offensive line unit that we've been going with rather consistently, week after week, play after play, simply ain't working. And so to me, quite frankly, any change along the offensive line is welcome, according to me, and what I want. Especially, again, guys that aren't seniors. Let's give them in-game reps now, because in-game reps mean something, even for the underclassmen. Because if you're worried about throwing a freshman out there, a sophomore out there who hasn't had much playing time, let me just tell you this. It can't get much worse than it already has. From a offensive line standpoint, a team that gave up 7 sacks and 8 tackles for loss in the UCF game, Hello, doesn't get much worse than that. So play the young guys. Again, till I'm blue in the face, if there's a chance that you see somebody on this team currently to this day, right now, right here, this year, that can make an impact next year, you believe that they can play and start and have meaningful reps next season, let them play now, right now, against TCU. I want to see new faces along that offensive line, and maybe it will be Donovan Aslam and Malik Agbo. All right, fourthly, storylines to watch for. Number 4 is it goes beyond the personnel. So that last one we are just talking about, all right, this offense needs to make some changes along the offensive line personnel-wise. But I think the offense needs to make changes that goes beyond personnel. And I'm not saying this to take a full-on shot at Rich Rod. But he's one of the great offensive minds that we've seen in the game for the last 20-plus years in college football. He's known for, obviously, his invention of the zone read and, utilizing that within the spread offense, run heavy, no huddle. We've seen all that, getting playmakers the ball in open space, whether it be quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, and letting them do their thing. While that's Rich Rodriguez's system, we've seen an offense that has struggled tremendously this season. And while he's certainly not the sole person to blame, regardless who's at quarterback, the offense just continues to struggle with the same things, the same mistakes over and over and over again. And, Rich mentioned in that conference as well, like there has been some bad luck. There has been lots of injuries. There has been things that have been beyond your control. But my point here, and it's similar to something we mentioned in that over-unders episode. If you didn't go check that one out, you can. It dropped before this one. Over-unders, talking about things in this matchup to look for. And I mentioned in that episode Rodney Gallagher and Cam Vaughn and their lack of touches over the last few weeks in Big 12 play. And it's just continued to be a thing. And my logic is like, dude, you got to find a way somehow, some way to get these guys the football. And I understand it's more complicated than I understand, or because it was that easy. Like, duh, Rich Rod wants to get these guys the football too. But I think you got to manufacture ways to get them touches. If some of them are, a screen for 2 yards, it's a screen for 2 yards. But at least these guys are touching the football because they're talented and can do things with space and the ball in their hands. So those two guys, Cam Vaughn, Rodney Gallagher, mentioned that in that last episode, that they've combined for just 17 touches, including runs, 17 touches for those two receivers over the last 3 weeks. That's got to change. You have to find a way. So the offense, game plan, scheme, how to get players involved, obviously execution, pass blocking, run blocking. I get that there's so many things you can jump into, but calling the right plays for these guys to succeed is also a thing, and being willing to adapt your offense rather than, because to me, we've seen the same offense with all 4 of the quarterbacks that we've seen, and it's been an offense that's struggling. It's been an offense that cannot execute the plays that are put in front of them. Quite simply, cannot execute the plays that are put in front of them. So you got to mix things up. And so if you're Rich Rod and you really do desire to win football games, you think you can win football games down the stretch, you got to find a way to get the ball in the hand of these talented playmakers, because what they've done so far simply isn't working. And I like to think that surely, Coach Rodriguez can find a way to get Cam Vaughn and Rodney Gallagher touches in an easy way. All right, again, obviously personnel is a major issue for this team, but their struggles are deeper than that. Their struggles are with schemes and with again, drawing up plays that you can allow the personnel you do have, because this is the team you got, whether you like it or not. You got to find a way for your personnel to have success. And right now the coach isn't doing the job of that because we're not having success. And again, I'd rather see a failed attempt at trying to do something different than continuing to struggle doing the same things. Right? Run a stupid little trick play and throw a pick 6 for all I care. Because what you're doing right now ain't much better. It just ain't working either. mix it up, get out a characteristic, because in characteristic has been a bad look for you this season. Let's just put it like that. Got to find a way. And, this offense has just continued to struggle. And you just got to think that you got to be able to find a light at the end of the tunnel in that regard. And that light at the end of the tunnel obviously very well could be the simple fact that you're just not going to get it done this season. The light at the end of the tunnel could be next season. But, man, I'd sure like to see some different things on offense, even if they don't work. At least it's an effort to try. That's a storyline to watch for. Are we going to see the same old offense that we have the last few weeks, or are we going to see some different things? And, again, I don't mean just, we're going to try a new quarterback. That's not fixing anything, obviously. None of these quarterbacks can get it done in the current state of what this thing looks like. Mix it up, see different plays, say, I haven't seen that play before. And even if it fails, at least they tried. I don't mean that like that. I just mean at least we're trying different ways to do something different. So this is episode number 55. I don't even know what I said earlier, but this is 55 of Mountaineer Moment. Again, just churning out episodes left and right. Super excited to be doing this. It's an honor to have you join me here, and we'd love for you to subscribe to the Mountaineer Moment movement so that we can keep this thing rolling. We'll see you next time on Mountaineer Moment.